Now, we are really lucky to have Shelley Christina from Canada, and she's going to talk next. She's from Concerned Women, Canadian Women, advocating for women and girls. She works with two outstanding groups, WMC and caWsbar. This is the greatest threat to women's rights she's seen, and she doesn't want to stand passively by while her granddaughters are deprived of these rights. So she's happy going to talk to us, which is great. So Shelley Christina is going to talk to us about policies affecting women and girls and what we've got brewing for the election campaign. So welcome, Shelley, and over to you.
We are in the middle of an election. It's a challenging one. This is our one opportunity to really hold politicians to account. Pretty much all of our institutions in Canada are thoroughly captured by gender ideology, from the federal government to provincial governments to the educational system. It's not great. So the media also, because our sitting government has heavily subsidized the media, so the legacy media will not report on the issues concerning gender ideology. They just will not do it. So Women Matter Canada grew out of a desire to specifically do something about the election. Pretty much everyone in Women Matter Canada are also a member of caWsbar. And I think it's important just to mention at this point, before I go any further, that a number of people in other countries think that Canada is USA light. We are not. Conservatives in Canada are entirely different from Republicans in the United States. They are pro-choice for the most part, except for social conservatives. That's another matter. But I mention this because although the vast majority of women that are fighting against gender ideology in Canada, I think it's fair to say that they are from the left of the political spectrum. They are not by any means the only ones, not at all. There are plenty of women who are politically homeless. There is much opportunity here. We just have to get the message out. And it's really very difficult because we cannot get any sort of media coverage to speak of in terms of at least the legacy media. So big issues are that the language of women have effectively been erased in law and language in Canada. Much policy has been changed by stealth. For instance, in respect to prisons, which is a huge problem here. I mention this because 5% of the female population in federal prisons, yes, 40% of those are extremely vulnerable Indigenous women. In 2017, about a year and a half after our current government came in, the Bulletin 584 was very quietly changed. Prior to this, in order for a male convict to be allowed to be in a women's facility, there had to be SRS, sexual reassignment surgery, no more, not even hormones, just self-identification. The government is desperate to keep this quiet. We have many dedicated women in caWsbar who have organized protest after protest at prisons across Canada cannot get any coverage whatsoever from the media. I remember one time they did it, it was immediately taken down because transgender activists objected to the transphobia of it all. So There are several bills that have been introduced by the government. The first one that was extremely problematic for us, for women, was Bill C-16. And that added gender identity and gender diversity to the Protected Grounds Act, so anti-discriminatory. This has wildly expanded. So, anytime there's federal services, any federal regulated employer, any federal employee, all must bow before, the concept of gender identity or gender diversity is really disadvantaged women. Second, Bill C-6, which went before our House, went before the Senate. It has died because of the fact that the writ was dropped for our election. If this government gets reelected, it will be back. Bill C-6 purports to ban forced conversion therapy, which sounds very nice, except the vast majority of people in Parliament do not understand the difference between gender and sex. So purportedly, it is about gay adults. We must not force people who are gay to have conversion therapy. Of course not. But what it really does is it will potentially criminalize parents, therapists, anyone who attempts to discuss with children, any possibility other than so-called affirmative care. You will see the sneer quotes in the air because I don't personally see anything affirmative about any of it. All is meant to completely annihilate gender non-conforming children in favor of transing them. That's basically what Bill C-6 is. At the moment, it is not going to happen. But if this government gets in, they swear it's the first thing they're going to do. We also have Bill C-10, and that is really important because that is a supposed hate speech bill. That will allow the government to monitor and censor groups on the internet. So all the women's groups that are currently attempting to do something about gender ideology, I suspect will be effectively barred and banned from all manner of groups, Facebook, all manner of social media, Twitter, all kinds of things. It's one of these things that is just the precursor to all kinds of other attempts to suppress women's rights groups, which are already pretty beleaguered. Sometimes I feel as though, Scotland and Australia and Canada are all very, very much the same. We have problems with sport, we have problems with prisons, we have problems with health issues. Like other places, the word woman and female has been removed, say, from all medical advice campaigns. So there are a lot. Canada is a very diverse country. There are a great many people who have English as a second language. When you remove the word woman from a medical advice campaign and replace it with cervix haver, there are a great many women who do not know what a cervix is. They know what a woman is, it's them, but they don't know what a cervix is. Naturally, none of this applies to men. There are no prostate havers or ejaculators mentioned in any medical advice campaigns in Canada. But for women, it is the same thing. Chest feeding, vulva owners, all of this sort of thing. It is dehumanizing. It is revolting. And the government has done this through stealth, largely. It is infuriating. They do not have any interest in women's rights, children's safety, none of them. So there you have it. It is difficult. So what we're doing at Women Matter Canada is very, very grassroots. You know, it's not surprising, since the media is so thoroughly captured, that many people just don't know what's going on. We go out on the streets, we watch out for each other, we hand out leaflets, we talk to people. Every single conversation makes a difference. It really does. And this is very much true, I have noticed, for younger women. You know, I remember being we were at a little pop-up event where we'll be handing out leaflets, and she took one and she read the QR code with her phone. She was reading, she walked away, and she came back and she wanted to know a lot of things. Nobody knows what's going on. It's never did I imagine that my country would become like this. But I still have plenty of energy, and we just absolutely must go on. I just, single-sex spaces, of course, are all being eliminated. There is a very prominent trans activist in Vancouver who has been stalking Vancouver Rape Relief for years and years and years. There is a level of spite and malice in all of this, which is amazing. And I, for one, will not listen to the mantra, be kind, anymore. Not at all. I have seen personally, not anecdotally, personally, I have encountered a trans-identifying man in a bathroom who asked me for a tampon, if I had a spare tampon. I mean, look at me. I mean, you know, I'm in my 60s, right? Anyway, I told him not to be ridiculous. I have seen a little boy that has been trans by his mother in a rural area, not in an urban area, not in a city. We simply have to stand up for this. We will do it. Women Matter Canada will, and caWsbar will too. You know, I'm hoping very much that this government is voted out. We will do everything we can to make that happen. Everything we can. We will not rest until the very eve of the election, and then we'll still be out there, because we just can't give up. You know, we cannot. I do hope, whether people feel comfortable with this or not, as I remind people, Canada is not the USA light. Our Conservative Party is not at all the same as Republicans in the United States. Whatever people might think, the Liberal Party, who is the sitting party, it has to go, because they have enabled all of this, all of it, every last bit of it. They're going to go. We're going to see that they're going to go. I just really want to thank every single woman I know in caWsbar, and every single woman I know in Women Matter Canada, who stand up for us and for children.